Yes, I can.
All right. Yeah. Okay. So for those of you that can see my screen, I'm on like a Jira board. So this was the one I created yesterday when I was trying to create the video for you guys. So I'll just start a new one. Um, like I said in the video yesterday, this is my personal Jira, and I'm not like I don't know everything about Jira, just the basics, but I'm happy to share. So if I was going to start a new project, this is like an old project I'm working on. If I was going to start a new project, so you see this menu on the side, you can literally click on this menu to for directions. So if you wanted to see the things that you have worked on, you can click on for you and it would show you projects that you have been part of and tickets that were assigned to you that you worked on. If you want to look at your recent projects that you've worked on, you click on recent and it will just give you a list of things that you've worked on and then you can pick. If you wanted to look at the apps that you can link to Jira, you can also click on this to explore the apps. So I know that you can import from Confluence, you can also import from Excel. Currently, you can now do that from Power BI. So just a list of apps that you can use to import things into Jira or exports from Jira too. But in this scenario, we're looking to create a project. So you're starting a new project, you want to set up your team on Jira, you'd come to Spaces, right? And click on, say you had Jira Access before and you're looking to start a new project. All you just need to do is come to Spaces. If you hover your mouse here, you see Create Space. The good thing with Jira is it is very, very straightforward. So there's a lot of directory on the page that will give you some sort of idea what you need to click on to get what you need. So if I clicked on this plus sign, it will automatically bring me to this place where I can choose a template. Now, you're choosing a template based on the projects that you're working on. So are you working on a Lego project? So say I clicked on this, it would give me templates that would be befit that would help with handling a team that is working on a Lego project. If I was working on analytics, the only template it has is analytics service management. I haven't used this before. So the one I'm very conversant with is software development. And you can see that it would show you the different templates you can use. So you can use Kanban, Scrum, top level planning, whatever your organization has decided to use at the time, and depending on your role. So if you were like a developer or a test analyst, it depends on what role, what your role is, and the kind of engineering team that you're working with. So for the cost of this, I would go with Scrum because this is something I'm used to. So I'll just click on Scrum and it will give you a brief of what the Scrum template what to expect from using the Scrum template and like a guide on how to use it. So if you look here, you can see work types, epic, story, bulk, task, subtask. The workflow tells you what the status is. It just gives you like an overview. And once you've read through, you're satisfied with this, you can just click on use templates. And there are two options. They're either team managed or company managed. So most times it will be team managed. For me now, this will never highlight for me because this is a personal Jira space. If it were like a company Jira space, maybe this would highlight and then I'll probably need to decide which of the setups to use depending on the scope of the project. But for this, I will just pick team managed project and you can see what it gives you. So it says anyone on your team can set up and maintain. Settings do not impact other spaces. And it's pretty easy and straightforward for you to customize your fields. You have access level permissions. But I must also say that on a personal Jira, so you can have a personal Jira to, play around with. I think you can only share that with maybe like 5 people thereabouts. I'm not sure if you can share that with more than more than that. But yeah, I will just click select a team manage space. Now it's asking me to type a name for my project. So for the course of this, I will name this project. Let's see, Skyron. Let's say we're working on a Skyron project. It's team managed. Click on this arrow. It also tells you team or company in case like you need to switch here as well. And I'll click on next. And just let that load for a bit.
Deborah, I think someone's trying to get into the Zoom call, I think.
I don't think I have the access to.
All right, I can hear the bell ringing.
No, I think they will just join.
So,
So
okay.
I didn't need to. Yeah, I didn't need to accept any of you guys. So just join. So now this space, this bring your team along, is where you're going to add the details of anybody that's going to be working on this project with you. So the names you're seeing here are just my friends I've worked on projects with, played around projects with. So if I wanted to add someone else, they just I'll just type an email. Assume I'm typing an email. So that will come up, right? Person's email will come up to suggest the email to you, and you can click on that. That would once you click on this person's name and you add the person to your project, the person gets a notification via email to join the project. So it's more like sending an invite out. For the sake of this, I'm not going to be adding anybody to this. I'm just going to skip. So there's an option at the bottom to skip. So I'm just going to skip. And this is my Scrum board for this project. So if you're looking at this, you can see a couple of things on this menu at the top here. If I click on summary, it would just show me zero work items because I've not done anything. Timeline is where you're going to create your tickets. Backlog is where you're going to groom your backlog, where you're going to move tickets depending on what tickets you're working on for that sprint. Your board is where you're going to keep track of your work items, what's on to do, what's in progress, what's in done. We can also see that in summary, but the board kind of gives you like a clearer view. So you see what tickets is pending, or like you see the status of each ticket and who is responsible for that ticket. So with Jira, everything is more or less time stamped. So if you assign the ticket, anybody who comes on that project 10 years later can see that you assigned that ticket. Yes, you can reassign. Maybe you've done your task and you have to reassign it. But for everything you do, Jira will leave a timestamp. So that's one good thing about Jira and just helps with accountability and keeping track of things. Calendar is more or less just, seeing like your timeline and setting up your work schedule. What's on this one? This to most likely show you things that your work items that you probably prioritized and all. But let's go back to summary. I'm doing this. I'm not managing it. Let's go back to summary. If I was going to start this project, if you looking at this, you see an epic, sorry, timeline, you see an epic. This epic is more like a parent ticket. So in simple terms, an epic is just saying, okay, so this is what we have to do. When you're working on the project, there are certain things you have to do at certain times. So say for instance, the first thing you guys need to do is like the project planning, right? Everything you need. So project planning is going to be your epic. And every activity that needs to take place during the project planning will be your child tickets. So your epic now, for instance, let's say project planning. That's the first phase of this project, right? Once you're done, you click on enter. Please make sure you click on enter so it saves that. If you don't click on enter, it doesn't let you use the next one anyway. what's going to be the next thing? What's going to be the next major thing that you're doing? So after project planning, we're doing, let's say, um, analysis, just for the fun of it. And you click on enter. Now, I'm just going to do these two epics for this class. If I click on project planning, what are the things that I want to do on that project planning? The first thing I probably want to do is review the business case, right? That's going to be a task. Who am I assigning that task to? Review the business case, or let's say create a PID, that's a project initiation document, or create a business case. In most settings, this board would have been created before you join. That's if you're a BA, because I understand that project managers and also like product owners would create this space and then get a few things done like the PID, the budgeting document, the raid logs and racing matrix. All of them will be documented on Jira. So you might come into the project and see that they've done all of that, but you still have your ticket assigned to you as a BA. I come here, say I'm a product owner, or you're a senior BA, or you're a BA that they've asked to, set up the whole Scrum board from start. Project planning, what's the first thing we need to do? I think the first thing we need to do is write and review the business case. If you look, this icon here is a green icon and it's telling me story. So that's not what I need to do. I need to create a task. All I need to do is click on this and click on the blue tick. So if you see the blue tick is tasked, that means this ticket is assigning a task to somebody. If I wanted to raise a bug to a developer, I will click on bug. So anybody who looks at that ticket knows that that is a bug ticket that has been raised to a developer. Is everybody following? Are you lost somewhere? Please, am I going too fast? Hello.
I think we're fine.
No, the pace is great. Thank
Okay.
you, Debbie.
So if I click on task, and I'll click on task and then I'll type in what I want to do. So just say create project planning. No, they would have already created the business case really. So let's say just for the fun of it, review business case. View business case. Enter. The next one will be create the ID. And just so that we can have like diverse tickets. Project planning phase, blah 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 blah. Conduct elicitation. Now, conducting elicitation is going to be a task, but because you're assigning it to a BA, most times you can leave it as a task, but most times to distinguish the tickets for a business analyst and a project manager in a Scrum project or a Scrum master in a Scrum project, you would most likely need to change this icon to story. So anybody who looks at this kind of automatically knows that, okay, this is a BA ticket. But most people would prefer to use this story ticket for a ticket where they are saying capture user stories and acceptance criteria, because you're actually creating a story. So it really depends. You can leave it as a task, or you might want to leave it as a, I didn't click on enter. It's not saved. So let me do this as a, leave it as a story. And I'll leave it as a task. It's actually a task. And I'll click on enter. Why are you not? Good. And then I'll use this as a story to say capture user stories and acceptance criteria. Good. So now we've created a couple of tickets here, and I'll just create one again, a bulk ticket. So say we've reviewed it and all, and a test analyst has created a ticket to say testing failed. If you've tested the product and it has failed and you want to raise a ticket to a developer, you just do this and create it as a bug. So now I know that I've created this now, but if this will not be created immediately, a bug ticket will not be created instantly, it will be created as the sprint progresses. So in the course of the sprint, if I'm a test analyst that has tested the product, or a BA who has tested the build, and I want to raise a bug ticket for a developer to action something, all I just need to do is go to the epic that we are currently working on. So if we are still under project planning, and that's like for the first sprint, all I just need to do is come here and click on the plus sign and add a ticket to say, okay, testing failed, and I'll change the status. So now that we've created all of this, I'm just going to create a few tickets here because I need to show you what it looks like on the backlog. So let's see, task analysis will be what do we do? Data. I'm just typing. Let's see, actual, just for the fun of it. US and AC. Very enter. Now I'm done. I've created a few tickets here, a few tickets here. If you look towards the side, it says to do. So who is actioning this ticket? I need to assign these tickets to the respective owners or the people accountable for each task. Now, review business case. Most people will say, okay, so a PM will do it or a BA could do it. It depends. But for this, I'll just say, let's assign it to a PM. However, it says to do only. To do who? Who is the person? Like, what role? The person actioning the what role does the person play within the engineering team, or like within the Scrum team? If I came here to the right where you can see Jira work item, I would see to do, and I can edit the description, or I just click on this to do, and I can create a status. So if I click on create a status, all I just need to do is say to do PM for project manager. I don't need to change the category now because I'm still creating it to do work item, and I click on create. I'll take the time to create for other guys as well. Okay, to do BA, create, to do TA, create, and I will do to do dev, create. And I'll just add one more ticket here to say tests, products. And I'll make this a task and enter. Now, because I'm creating tickets, I'm going to create. So if you notice, there are three status. So we have three status. We have to do, we have in progress, and we have done. So I'm going to create ticket status for in progress. I'll just say in progress. I'll change the category to in progress. And create another one. Say in progress. Yeah. Change the category. Progress. Yeah. I think I'll just leave it at this point. You get the gist from now. So you just create your status this way. And when you click here, you can see. So you do the same for done as well. Now that has been done, for these first tickets to review business case, if you are signing this to your project manager, all I just need to do is click on it, click on the ticket. You will load on your right, click on this to do, and select the correct option. So I'm assigning this to a PM. I'll just say to do PM. and that would update. So you can see that, yes, this task is to do, but it is specific, the specific person that has to do this task. Let's assign this create PID. Let's do to do PM as well. Elicitation, to do BA, capture user stories. And the reason I'm assigning all of this now is because another thing you need to take note of, please assign all your tickets. So change the work status and assign them before you go to your backlog to arrange it. Because if you don't assign it, so after this, I'm going to assign it to an individual. If you don't assign it or create the status now, by the time you go and start arranging your backlog, especially when you started the sprint, you're going to have issues with finding the right tickets to include to your sprints. There's just something that please try to do. You should try to do before you go to add any tickets to your sprints in your backlog. I'm going to assign this to a developer because developers are the ones fixing bugs. And test product, I would assign this to a test analyst. Good. I'm done assigning everything. Now, yes, I have said a project manager should do this, but which project manager? So you might have maybe one or two project managers, depending on how big your team is. All you need to do is click on the ticket as well. This Jira work item will show you everything you can do with the ticket. So if you look here, you see unassigned. It's telling you that it's not been assigned to a particular person. Yes, it's been assigned to a particular talent or like a field within the engineering team to work on, but not a particular person. So at this point, you can click on unassigned, just click on this person icon here, and the list of everybody that has been invited to this project will pop up on this, on the drop down. And you can select. So say, for instance, Catherine was a BA on this, was a PM. I'll click on Catherine to assign that ticket to her. But because if I do that, she'll get an email. So no, I don't want to bother her. I will just click on assign. So I'll be assigning all the tickets to me. Well, if I click on assign to me, that has assigned to me. If I wanted to assign this to, and the reason why my name may not pop up on this, so it's even up here, is the first. Your name will probably pop up on the first because Jira would have read that you're the person currently logged into the platform. So I'll assign all the tickets to me. And once you assign, you can see the initials of the person beside the tickets. So each ticket, once you look at your Jira board, you can see who is responsible for what and why, right? So say I've assigned all of these tickets to myself now. Yep, we are good to go. You then need to set a timeline for your project. So just hovering my mouse around here, you can see there's like a date stuff that has come up. Please bear in mind that you can only like set the timeline on an epic. If I hovered my mouse across like a normal ticket and try to set a timeline, nothing will pop up for me. I have to bring my mouse to the epic ticket because that's like the parent ticket. So what's the timeline I'm giving myself for this project? How long do I want to do this for? So if I say 3 weeks, 4 weeks, depending on Scrum cannot exceed 4 weeks, but it depends. Today's date is the 12th of January. So if I say I'm starting on the 12th of January, right? And I want to finish this project on the 13th of February. All I just need to do is tap and scroll. So I'll do this again. It was here. You click here, first of all, to set your 12th of January date, and then you just bring your mouse towards this end and you drag it to the preferred date. So the date will show on screen and you can drag it to them. And that means I've set a timeline for this project. Did everybody follow me up to this point, please? Do I need to go back and explain something?
Please repeat the timeline. Thank you.
The timeline, okay. That's this one I'll do for this second one now. So say the first part of the sprint, we wanted to work on project planning. And the next sprint was to work on analysis, right? Project analysis or analysis in general. Ideally, if you are taking it as sprint one, sprint two, analysis should come as a second sprint after project planning, right? Just for the sake of this. If this sprint is from the 12th of January to the 26th of January, remember I said you can only set your timeline, so you can only do this on an epic. This epic has child items here, right? If I brought my mouse to review data, the dates wouldn't pop up for me. I need to bring it back to align it to the same line where analysis is. And say we wanted to start the second sprint, because we'll give time for retrospective and every other thing. Say we wanted to start the second sprint on the 17th of February. I would hover my mouse till it shows me the correct date. So I can see that it's 17th of February, and I'll click here. So that means that's my start date. And then you can see that there is, just go towards the end of this bar and scroll. Just drag, sorry. So drag it to your preferred dates. Is that clear now? So I've dragged this to 18th of March. Is that clearer?
Yes, it is. Thank you.
Another way to do it is, let's close this, we have more space. And, another way to do it is when you go to your backlog. So now we are done assigning tickets here and everything. And the thing with Jira is you can delete the tickets, but if you look at the ticket, each ticket has a number, right? So you can see SKYR1, SKYR2. So you will create a number depending on like what you entered first or second or third. You can delete a ticket, but you cannot get that number back. So that's nothing to worry about, because you don't have to panic if you delete a ticket and instead of it to show and you're creating a new ticket, say for instance, ticket number was 11 or 10, and you deleted that ticket because it was created in error and you're trying to create the correct one and it shows you 12. It's nothing to worry about. It's just how Jira works. It numbers your tickets and whether or not you delete it is fine. So if I go to backlog, right, this shows me all the tickets I have created. And if you look at this, you see all the ones I have assigned and the ones that are still like to do, I've not assigned to a person. This is the place where you move your work items per sprint. So for sprint one, what are the things that need to be done in this first sprint? You drag them up. So first thing, review business case. I'm just going to click on this now and drag to the top, to this place, to this box. And it moves. Create PID, drag to the top and it moves. So you have to be careful as well with positioning your hand. So if one is meant to go ahead of the other, all you just need to do is bring it down. It's just a case of dragging and positioning. Conduct elicitation. It's meant to go up, it's meant to be part of the sprint for project planning. Capture user story and acceptance criteria. That goes here. And then test products, that goes here. Testing field, that goes here. Now, all these tickets that I have dragged, sometimes you can have as many tickets, but the most important thing, what you need to drag to this top are the tickets that you need to action in that sprint. So once it's been agreed that this, so, and so are the work items that we need to get sorted within this sprint, those are the tickets you will drag to the top. Because when you're doing like your when you're having your stand-up sessions, you're having discussions based on those tickets. Who has done what? You're reviewing. Okay, so are we changing the status of this from to do to in progress or to done and no? These are the things you'll be reviewing for that sprint. So it kind of gives you clarity on what work needs to be done, what has been done for that time, like for that sprint, what you need to focus on. And then every other thing that is not, you're not ready to action or you've actioned, more like noise at the time, will be below here, just waiting for you to, bring it up. Once you have dragged all of your work items to the top, you can then click on Start Sprint. So there's a Start Sprint button at the far right corner of the screen. Please make sure that you have included all your tickets. all the tickets that you're treating for the sprint to this top before you click on start sprint. Ideally, you shouldn't be able to add or I know things come up and yes, you can always like, well, it's just ideal that you have everything that you need at the top before you click on start sprint. So you don't need to like change the date or anything because I don't think you can edit the dates really. So if you click on start, it comes up with tells you there are six work items will be included in this sprint. It has already named it for you, SKYR, sprint one. Duration, how many weeks do you want to have this project for? The maximum is 4 weeks because it's a Scrum template you're using. So if you're going to do, if you've agreed to do this for 3 weeks, 4 weeks, depending on what has been agreed, you would select. So I'll say 4 weeks for this one, and it's showing you the start date and the time. Say I didn't want to start the sprint today. I wanted to start it on the 14th. I can change the start date to this. So it starts counting from the 14th, right? At this time. It doesn't allow you enter an end date because it has already calculated the end date for you based on the duration that you have picked. So if you look here, you see end date 11/02/2026. That's 4 weeks from the 14th that I have chosen as a start date. And in this box, you can now type in your sprint goal. So what you're looking to achieve in that sprint. So anybody who comes to the summary page or anything can see the sprint goal for this sprint as well. Or if you have like a new person join your team, you don't necessarily need to do so much to bring them up to speed. They can just come on Jira and see everything that's been documented and what the team is working on at that time. So say this was my sprint goal, I will just click on start. It has taken the dates back to 12 because I'm starting it today anyway. So yep. And in a few seconds, you should see my summary. So I'll go to summary. Now it's showing me my summary. My summary showing me my status overview. It's telling me I have 4 to-do items. Out of the 4, 2 of those tickets have been assigned to PMs. 1 has been assigned to test analyst. 2 has been assigned to 4 to do. So has been assigned to this is 6 in total. So I don't know why it says 4 here. Maybe just normal to do. But on your summary page, you can see like your priority breakdown. That's if you set like a priority for the sprint. It's okay. So these are things that are priority for you and all. Depending on the information you feed it, really, you'll be able to see all of that here. So it's telling me that I have 40% unassigned tickets. So out of the 8 tickets I have created, 6 are assigned, some are unassigned, and it's showing me what the distribution is, right? It kind of gives you like a detailed breakdown and it tells you at the top here what has been completed within the last 7 days. So if someone goes in now and changes their status, say I go in as a BA for capture user stories or elicitation, I change it to in progress, and from in progress I change it to done. It would show here that 1 ticket has been completed. That means 1 task has been done. 10 have been updated, 10 created. Jira will tell you how many days you have left to complete this sprint. So if you come to this project tomorrow, you will see. I'll go to Top Gun, the one I created yesterday, and I'll show you the summary. So this is still not gotten to 24 hours since I created it. But let me show you this one I've been working on. The 0 has been completed. We've not done anything on this one.
Please, I have
Just
a question.
yeah, I'm listening.
Can you hear me?
Yes, yes. I can hear you. Can you hear me? Hello? If you can hear me, I can hear you. So,
All right, thank you. I have a bit of question.
yeah.
We walked through the timeline first of all, and you were able to assign timelines to the various epics, right?
Yeah,
Moving all of those ones into the sprint. Now, those epics already have timelines, right? But
yeah.
we moved the user stories, not the epics, right?
No, so on your backlog, it will just be your child's tickets that would show
That's the
here.
user stories now. The
Yeah,
story,
your epics would not show
yes.
on the backlog, yeah.
Yeah, the question now is how does that timeline not interfere with the timing you're putting on for the sprint? For example, if you had moved some tickets from one epic that had maybe 2 weeks and another
Mhm.
epic that has another one, maybe 2 or 3 weeks additional, and
Yeah.
they move all of that into your sprint, would that not would there be an effect? Because now we're looking at the sprint for 4 weeks. And the epics, we already have timelines for them. I mean, different timelines for the two different epics. Would there
Mhm.
not be a conflicting or clash or something like that?
So you can always change your timeline, but not like so on timeline, right? So if I come to backlog, once I add things to the sprint, I can hardly change this date. But on timeline, I can always extend or adjust. So if I wanted to change this to 11th, or say for instance, the project has gone farther than necessary, I can always extend it to this. So the timeline is basically for you don't need to do it here. You can always do it at the back, but it's just for people. So when you come to the first page of the project, right, you can see that a timeline has been set for this particular thing. Now, if for some reason we are not going to make that time, I can always come here and adjust it. Right. But that's after having like a meeting with the team. So anybody who comes here can see, okay, so this is how many days we have left. Do you understand?
Yeah. So that means the timeline is not really what we're going to work with because, sorry, I'm
You
just
don't
trying
need
to
to bother
understand.
so much about this. You don't
All
need
right.
to bother so much about this. This is
All
just
right.
yeah, so this is just it's just there for it's more like a visual reminder when you come on the first
Yeah.
page.
Yeah.
So this
All
is
right. Thank
timeline. Yeah. Any other questions, please? Any other questions, please? Okay, so in the absence of any other questions, we've talked about the backlog and all. I will come to the timeline now. The most interesting part, if I wanted to add information to this ticket, because Jira is not all about creating tickets, you would also need to add some information to it, right? So because um, what's this one? If I wanted to maybe review, so I'm the PM and they told me to review the business case or probably update it. I'll click on this ticket. You would open on the right side. And if you look at this top, you would see the ticket number here. So you see the epic number and the ticket number. All I need to do is click on this ticket number and it would load up the page where I can add a description. So all I need to do is I'm done reviewing the business case. I can just copy it and come here, click on edit description and paste. So say for instance, I just have I've pasted it. So you can paste, you can type depending, but please, when you are done. In fact, if whatever you're adding is long, at every point in time, just click on save because you can continue, right? Once you click on save, all you just need to do is click on it again and to open. Because the reason I'm saying that is you can spend hours typing, and if you don't click on save and your system goes up, that information will not save. You have to come back and save it again. It happens, so say for this now, say I've typed this in as a business case, right? And I've clicked on save. Remember I said Jira has timestamps. This ticket is in my name. If somebody comes through to review this business case and maybe has one or two opinions or like suggestions, they can leave a comment. So they can come here and add a comment. And whatever comments they add and save, anybody who comes and looks at this ticket can see it. So it's not a case where you say you missed that information because is going to show, and it's going to show the time that that comment was seen. It's telling me 8 seconds ago, that's when this comment was left. If as the time gets, say, for instance, we're looking at this board tomorrow to tell you the date and the time that that comment was left. So with Jira, if you assign the tickets and you've probably worked on your ticket or something, it's always advisable to go back and check if anybody has left a comment. The good thing is, most times you would see this notification bell here. You might get a notification to say, oh, somebody has dropped a comment for you somewhere, and you can go and have a look at it, right? But that's one good way to, kind of keep track of everything. So maybe somebody needs you to add something, they can leave a comment there, or a test analyst has reviewed the product and compared it to the user stories and acceptance criteria that you created. They can also leave a comment. So say, for instance, I wanted to capture user stories and acceptance criteria. Because this task can be a lot sometimes, what I do, I'm not saying you should do, what I do is I would use Excel to write out my user stories and acceptance criteria, then copy it and paste it here, or just import it. Because that way it just makes my life easier. Jira can be a bit touchy, and any little thing that happens, you will just scatter your work. So say I wanted to create user stories and acceptance criteria here, and I did US1, the US1, I'm using given syntax. Given that I'm the user of Iron, I want to enter the domain address so that I can go to the home page or be directed to the home page. The home page, right? You can increase this text size. Normal text. Let's use heading 3. Yep. Yep, so let's use this heading. You can increase the text size that way. Good. So I've entered my user story 1. Now for my acceptance criteria, depending on how the developer prefers to see that information, because sometimes it's good to ask how they want you to write out that information. Well, I would naturally do it in a table form. So I'll click on table, and it will give me this option. I want to add one more row to the side. Not here. Control Alt results. What I can do, options. This is fine. I need to add one more table to this side. Good, it's added. So all I just needed to do, so if you initially was 3, all I just needed to do was, you can see this plus sign at the top. So it depends on how many rows and columns you want. This plus sign at the top. So I want 4 columns, and I currently have 3. I will just bring my mouse towards the edge of the table and click on this, and that increases it to 4 for me. If I wanted one more row, because I currently have 1, 2, 3, 4, I wanted 5, I would just click on this plus sign at the bottom to add it. If I wanted it at the top, I'll do the same thing. But say this is my table now, right? And I wanted to do even that when Then, okay, so I don't need this one.
Hi, Debbie.
Hi.
I've got a question, but before then, I noticed on user story, you probably wanted to start with as a user of Skyron. Rather,
Yeah, as a user, sorry.
that's fine. My question is, how do you export user stories from Excel onto Jira, please?
Okay, so for me, I would naturally just do copy and paste. There's an export option here. Can you see?
Yeah,
Click on these three dots,
yeah.
and then you can click export Excel. So,
Oh,
this is if you're exporting to Excel, really. But you should be able to import. I would just, let me
oh
show
yeah,
you.
import. So
Yeah.
literally bring it from Excel down here. Will it? So do you suppose it would bring in everything and just
Yeah, so all you just need to do is copy. Let me,
Oh wow,
mm, I'll try it now for you to see.
thanks. And then another question is, how much do you pay for your subscription every month?
So this one, I'm actually on my friend's Jira, so she added
Okay,
me to her project.
okay, okay,
I
cool. It's
think
fine.
personal Jira is not. I'll just check. Give me 1 minute.
No problem. Thank you.
Sorry, where is that import again? I only saw export, export, export. Is it
Yeah,
on?
no, just hold on. I didn't find import myself, so I'm just
Okay.
going to put it copy and paste. Yeah, I had this. Hmm. I'm gonna copy this. Let me see. I literally just copied this from Excel, but it didn't paste like I would want it to. So let me try another paste option. Nope, not this way. Uh, mm, yeah,
I've
but what
just
I'll ask my
sorry,
friend
Deborah,
is,
there's an option where you can CSV importer. You can search at
yeah,
the top, I think, of Jira
okay,
and do it
thank
that
you. I think
way.
that's what I'm looking for. Thank you. Um, where at the top, please?
E search bar. If you type CSV importer, it should come up and um, just press
Mm,
return.
no, it's not
Oh, I've
coming.
done that before. Let me double check how I did it. One
Uh,
second.
I've done it before, like I'm not really sure how to. 1 minute. I always ask the time when you call a friend. 1 minute. Well, my friend is not answering. I'm just going to try and Google. I really need to find a YouTube video, but I've forgotten how to. Um, yeah, let's just move on. It's almost 8. If I find it, I'll definitely leave it in the chat as well. But yeah, if I was creating a user story, I'll just do this. I'll do it this way, and I don't think I need this. I don't need this table to be able to delete it. Delete. Even and yep, and just for the fun of it, I can do AC1, and then you just enter what you want to enter, really. So, when you're done with this, please make sure you click on save again. And if I came here to say, okay, so looks good, I can leave a comment to say looks good or whatever it is, and you would see like the timestamp here as well. I think that's about it really. Yep, and if I wanted to change, hi,
Okay, please land. Please land. I just have a comment, but just go
yeah,
on.
I'm listening.
Okay, okay. I didn't mean to interrupt what you're
No,
sharing.
it's okay.
Okay, so just to be aligned, yeah, my understanding of Jira is that we shouldn't be doing what our typical project planning tools would do. Like, like when we're listing these elements, these tickets, when you're creating the ticket, the epic, the story, the task, right?
Yeah,
Like when you mention planning, for instance. So I understand that we shouldn't be doing, for example, that typical waterfall when you say initiate, then plan, then execute,
yeah,
then monitor, then control, then
mm-hmm,
test. And so our understanding is we shouldn't be doing that on Jira because the epic should be like a medium chunk of the high level requirements, for example.
yeah,
So if we take, for instance, a web portal enhancement, we want to enhance a web portal for, let's say, HSBC, yeah?
mm-hmm,
We should be saying there is a chunk of that enhancement that is access management, for example, or content management or reporting, right? So
yeah,
that chunk of work that has to do with access management is an epic. Then everything under that chunk of work will now be the tasks that we want to create, which in
yeah,
some cases could be the user stories directly under the epic.
yeah,
So we're not necessarily entering project planning. Okay, we're planning the project, then we're initiating and adding all of the initiation tasks, and then
yeah.
to execution. I don't know if you get it. So,
No, I completely get it, and you're right. So, like I said it depends on your team. Most people would put that information on Jira because I know that most of the like the business case, PID and all is created on Confluence. But most times they would share that information and create like a ticket on Jira for documentation, just so that okay, that information is there as well. And anybody say you have a new person coming on the project, they have all of that information in one space where they can see it. So it just really depends. You don't have to put like project planning and everything. I just use this as an example per se. Right.
fantastic. Okay, okay, great. Thank you.
Uh,
And let's
I have a question.
yeah.
For your user stories and acceptance criteria,
Mm-hmm.
the example you're giving, it seems you want to put all the user stories on one ticket, right?
Yes, you
Okay, because
can.
what I kind of understand with user stories is that every user story should be on a ticket. That helps the developers to know what to focus on every ticket. But if we have all of the user stories for maybe one sprint on a ticket, would that not be too bulky and overwhelming for the developers?
Well, it depends. For me, if I see too many tickets, it can be a bit confusing. So for me, say for instance, right, I think you would pace it based on for what I'm used to, we'll pace it based on the amount of work required. So say for instance, in the first sprint, the only thing I'm working on is maybe capturing user stories for, say, like the About Us page, right? That's not going to be a lot of information. So I can create all of, so let me just, I don't think I have any here, but I'll show you. I can have all of that done here. And when the developer picks up that one ticket, they can see that, oh, that has been, like, they can see all of the user stories and acceptance criteria for that particular page. Let's see, bear with me. I don't think I have one here that I've worked on. Just things I play around.
Okay, sorry. That means when you're doing your refinement, right? Are you going to be sizing all of the different user stories separately or together as a whole ticket?
Okay, let me show you how my user stories would look. So if I'm working on a particular thing, say for instance, if you're looking at refinement, say you worked
Yeah,
on different pages, they will
yeah.
naturally be in different tickets. So user stories and acceptance criteria for this page of the website, say about us page will be here, careers page will be here, contact us page will be like, there'll be different tickets. But all the requirements relating to all the user stories that capture like the requirement relating to about us page, I would put it in one ticket. So this is how I would present it. And again, like I would always ask the developer what's the best way to handle this so that you understand, so we both understand ourselves, and it's not a case where I'm just doing things that they don't quite get. Let me share a different screen for you. It's just something I've played around with. Let's see, share. Mhm. So I would have it. Can you see the screen, please?
Yes, I can see your
Yes.
screen.
So I'll have it this way, right? So just for an example, so you can see user story one. This is just everything here is relating to the first homepage, what I want to see on that homepage. Although the homepage has been built, in this case, we're just making like little changes to things. But because everything was just for that page, I would write it out this way. So if a developer picks up this ticket, what the developers have worked with, when they pick up this ticket, it's quite like they understand what to do because they know that, okay, so every user story and acceptance criteria on this ticket relates to what I have to do on so and so page. If I now create a different ticket for user stories and acceptance criteria for a different page, if they pick that up, they'll know that, okay, so this is for like a services page. So everything here is what needs to be implemented in a service page.
If
That's
I'm
how I
getting
put
you
it.
correctly,
Yeah.
are you saying that on one ticket that for this particular project, SKR1,
Mhm.
you will have user story 1 to 7
You
in
can have more than that actually, um depending on like the requirements. So we've had cases where it's like, but I try to, I've had like 15 user stories with acceptance criteria in one ticket, and that works. That the
so
developer
in
has
one.
not complained about it.
So question following that, does that mean how easy or hard will it be to estimate?
I would say for me, I would say it still boils down to the developer.
I'm also
If they
seeing,
don't understand, I don't know, I don't know how else to say because I
so,
would
so
ask, do you like this format or what's the best way to present this information to you?
Okay.
Yeah, I'm listening.
I'm also seeing this for the first time. I think I
Yeah,
understand
I've
where
never heard this before, but yeah,
Claire
I'm
is
keen
coming
to know.
from because yeah, can anyone hear me?
Yes,
Yes.
sorry.
Oh, great, great. I was saying I understand where Claire is coming from because I understand that the tickets that we do now, been privileged to work both on Jira and on Azure DevOps. So when you say I have a ticket and I have multiple user stories on the ticket, I see it. That's what I currently do day in, day out on Azure DevOps. So I understand that language. So on Azure DevOps, you create a ticket and then we can have multiple user stories and then we just reference the ticket, reference the user stories. If there's a parent ID for the ticket down, in this case, from the parent of the epic, we could have the parent of the epic. The epic is the ticket and then have the user stories. I understand that from an Azure DevOps point of view. But on Jira, I understand that each user story is literally representing a, a size of work that needs to be done. So it should have its own unique sizing. If you go to that blue button, the blue one there where you have the user story, for example, the story, you will see that on the extreme right, it will show you sizing. So each of them should have like their own story points that you can assign to them. So it's unique for each user story, and then each user story gets dragged into the epic up there for the sprint planning, and all of that. So I'm kind of wrapping my head around having multiple, user stories to a ticket on Jira. It's not something I've experienced.
Exactly. So for me too, that's like the touch on like it's going to be, say for instance, I have 15 user stories. That means I'm going to be creating 15 tickets and tagging the developer on 15 tickets.
Yeah, because ideally we will expect that each of those user stories should progress horizontally across the board. They should be tested, they should have their sizes, they should be assigned to different guys, whether it's front end, whether back end, right? So I think it still makes a lot of sense to say that but if that's what works for you and your developers, why not? We're in a very dynamic environment.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. To be fair, I've not been a BA for the longest, but so far I've put all of mine in the same ticket, and I always ask and they're fine with it. But I'm just learning that you have to do like separate tickets. If I
That's
develop,
fine.
I'll
We
literally
learn every
cry.
day.
I will
Yeah.
cry if I see 20 tickets because it's just going to make me anxious. But yeah.
So that means you can actually then size all the 15 tickets, for example, the 15 user stories on one ticket and kind of add up all the efforts that is required to do that particular ticket, right?
Yes, so you can do it on one ticket, but again, just speak to the developer and find out if they're comfortable with that, if they can understand it and they're happy to go with it.
All right.
Yes. Yeah, but I think that's about it. That's a little that I know about Jira. And then I think the other thing I wanted to share was if you finished working on a ticket, you can change the status. So say for instance, I've picked up this ticket, it's on to do, and I want to let you know that I've started working on it. I can change this to in progress. And I will just change here. And if I go to my summary, my board, whoever goes to the board can see what ticket to do in progress be one ticket. I've completed it as well. I can always change the status. If I were going to assign it to someone else, after, say for instance, I'm done capturing user stories and acceptance criteria, instead of changing it to done, because it's not fully done until like you finish testing and everything, I will just reassign these tickets. I'll reassign it to the developer. I'll change it to do dev, and I'll change this assignee here to the developer. So say the developer is Deborah, I'll still use Deborah, or if it was someone else, all I just need to do was come here, assignee, click on this, and pick the developer's name. So change the status to do dev, then pick the developer's name. So that way, everybody who looks at this sees that, okay, you've finished what you need to do, and you've assigned it to the developer to resume work. Yeah. It's my very novice knowledge of Yeah,
Thank you, Deborah.
you're welcome.
Yeah, very informative. Thank you so much, Deborah.
I don't know if I could quickly ask this question. So I was just wondering, how do you then assign like story points? Because I've been like using mostly Kanban, and we don't really do story points, estimation, and all of that. So I was wondering, like, okay, in the Agile world, how is story points being assigned to user stories?
So by story points, just can you just because I've never used Kanban. Like I said, I've not been a BA for the longest. But what would story points be on Kanban? Is it like a ticket for you to create user stories and acceptance criteria to capture user stories and acceptance criteria?
Okay. So in Canva, there's no even need for story point because stories, everything is just done immediately. So there's no need for estimation and all of that. So we hardly do estimation. It's just like work is, we don't have, there's no sprint in, okay, let me say, there's no sprint in Kanban,
Okay.
right? We don't do time sprint and all that. So work is like on the go, like we're doing it, we're working, everybody's working, the developers are working immediately. So there's no like estimation, right? But I know in the normal Agile world that there's always sprint planning. There's
Yeah.
need to plan the number of things to put in a sprint, user stories and all that. But I know I'm also familiar, theoretically, I'm familiar with the fact that there's always the story points in on Jira, right? And that helps you know like the what we can do in this sprint, our capacity. Okay, in a sprint one, let's say our previous sprint, we're able to do like 20 points. That means in this sprint we can also do 20 points, if that makes sense. But I know it theoretically, but I've not really used it because I found myself in Kanban environment where we don't do sprint planning and all of that. So I was just wondering if you do that on the job and if you could share more, or anybody on the call. That's what I was asking. Yeah.
I could share some light to that.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. So generally, story pointing, it's largely going to be the team coming together to say, I mean, just like you rightly said, we've done certain number of story points in a previous sprint. It's not a given, but over time, after multiple sprints, the team would get into a rhythm where they understand the kind of sizes they can take. Now, how it happens, what we've done in one or two cases I've been in that environment, it's like a voting. I can't remember what we call it.
Okay.
Um, I'm trying to remember that story pointing name again. It's not Fibonacci. It is
So
this
you
one
have
where
t-shirt sizes and you got
t-shirt.
Fibonacci.
Thank you. We
Yeah,
have the 9 plus 15 t-shirt sizing, which is small, medium, large, and like that.
exactly.
But in this one where we vote, we take, for example, let me take an example of animals. We take like a rat, a chicken, right?
Yeah.
A goat, a cow, and a camel, right? And then we pick one user story, and then we all agree that this user story is the size of a chicken. So that gives us a baseline. Now, every other user story that we want to pick, you just put a link into the group. Everybody takes the link. They vote independently and say, okay, this user story, if it is twice or thrice the effort that I'm putting, already remember that we've agreed on a baseline that one user story is the size of a chicken. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So every other user story, people would vote and say, okay, I'm voting a goat because I can see that the effort I would need to put into this user story will be 3 times that user story that we agreed was a chicken. So you will find some people put in times 3, that is story point 3. Some will put story point 5. But remember, there is already an agreed baseline that everybody understands that this particular user story, the effort is equivalent to the size of a chicken. That is 1.
Okay.
Do you get it? So once that vote happens, the system, I mean, I'll try to find that link. If I can find it, I'll just drop it in the chat, in
Okay.
the WhatsApp chat, so that we could experience it as well. So
Yeah.
everybody votes, it gives the estimate, then the lead, the convener or the team lead in that conversation will eventually say, okay, so everybody we voted, we arrived at 4.5. Do we agree that this user story will go for 4? Yes. Oh no, even after, oh no, it still looks a bit high. Okay, let's take 3.5 or 4, and then the team lead puts in 4. So that story point is on the extreme right. Once you click it on Jira, on the ticket or on the user story, you will see all those columns where you see tag, label, size assigned to. There's a point there you see story point or size, and then you can now put in that value there. So I hope it helps. So for the sprinting now, once you start moving user stories upward, like Debbie just showed us, once you start moving user stories upward into a sprint, you'll be watching how the story points are adding up. And once it gets to the average story point that happens for a usual sprint, right? Like you've done 3, 4 sprints, and the developers have been able to execute 29 or 32 story points per sprint, or between 29 and 35. Once you're hitting 29, 32, then you want to just step down and say, okay, we're done. We're ready for this sprint. We don't want to have any more, because it keeps the reading for the developers. So that's my little bit on this one.
Oh, okay. So quick one. Are you going to add up the points? So let's say we have like chicken. We have like chicken is like say 1, right? And ram is like 3 points and chicken is 1 point. So when we now have like different 1, 1, 3, 3, 3 and all that, what happens? Are we dividing by 2? Are we
No,
do you
no,
got
no,
it?
no. You're
Okay.
adding them up.
Okay.
Remember, you're voting for each user story. You're voting for each. Everybody votes. The tester will be voting, developers, BA, Scrum, maybe Scrum Master. Sometimes they're not part of that vote, but the Agile team would vote. After that vote, remember it's a system. I'll share the link. It gives you the average, then it
All
gives you
right.
the average of everybody's vote. Then you end up picking one value for that user story. One value for one user story, and it's usually between all of that value we talked about 1, 3, 5, 8. I think, yeah, that's actually the sequence. So we already agreed on what is 1. We now know that ram is 3, we know cow is 5, we know camel is 8. Yeah. So once
Okay.
I see a user story and I feel this is a lot of work, I give it an 8. The likelihood is that every other person voting would either be between 5 and 8, because based on
Okay.
experience as well. In few cases, you see outliers where somebody is voting 1 and somebody is voting 8.
Mm.
It means that the team is not balanced in experience, or they're not really aware of what work needs to be done there. But usually for an experienced team, they would even out and you would arrive at a very good average. And then the team lead will align with the team. Are we agreed on this? Yes. And then we pick that value and assign it to the user story. So once we've gotten one value for each user story, when we're coming to the sprint, we add up everything. No division.
Okay. Okay. Makes sense.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Yeah, cheers. I'd also like to know more about the Kanban, but of course, for the
Yes,
sake of
please,
academic
Victoria.
purposes,
Yeah,
yeah,
I
that Kanban
am
is something
used to Scrum, and I'd like to know about Kanban.
Oh, okay. So I think for Kanban, do you guys want me to go about it now?
No, I mean, if you don't mind, you could literally tutor us on it if
Oh, okay,
that's too
that's
much
fine.
of an ask. Thank you.
Okay. Do we want it maybe do you want us to book a time or you want us to talk about it now?
No, yeah, maybe book a time, please.
Okay, okay, that'll be good. No problem.
that would be better.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So will I tell Mrs.
Yes,
what's her-
yes.
okay, yeah.
Please. Thank
Okay,
you.
I'll talk to her about it.
You could also fill the link, Victoria. There's a link on the WhatsApp chat. Just go in there and put in, Kanban session, how much
Okay.
time, and just put in your details there. That will help.
Okay, okay, great. I'll do that.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right.
All right. So while we were just having that conversation, I kind of remembered a few things. Let me, let's see. I'm sharing the right screen. Can you see my screen?
Yep.
What screen can you see? My Jira board, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So if you wanted to add something, if you wanted to like attach something if you wanted to import rather, that's the word. I would go to timeline and I would click on, see, this is it, this one. And you click on this plus sign here at the top. This one, can you see it? Add or create related work item. And I'll click on add attachments, right? and you can import. So you'd have saved the file on your system already, and you can then import. So that's how to import.
Okay.
And if I wanted to, on this one, so you can also add pictures and videos on Jira, and add it as a comment on Jira. So say I've tested this, or maybe the stakeholder has provided some pictures or something. I can come and I wanted to include it to my user stories as an acceptance criteria, just so the developer sees it. All I need to do is click on add comments. And once this menu bar pops up, I'll click on add image, video, or file here and click on upload. Or you can then maybe like upload a picture. So let's see. Just this, upload this picture. Yep, to pop up here. You can see it here and click on save. So that's something else you've added to. Maybe a stakeholder sends like a picture for a requirement or like a video or something. You can include it here and anybody can review it. If you also wanted to add a link, if you clicked on this, you can click on link. So you just copy and paste your link and click on save. That's also what I wanted to chip in.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
All
you.
right, guys. Does anybody have anything else they want to share?
No, I just want to say thank you to everyone that's contributed. God bless you.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thanks everyone as well. And Victoria, please, I'll be looking forward to